I'm not going to take the bait. I'd love to, but it's not the purpose of this. I'm just going to set a little timer so I don't run too far, because it's a shame. Patch has been really nice to me there, so I'm going to feel a little bit bad about this. Okay, Portuguese versions are being handed out now. I finished the speech about 2 hours ago, so I'll just run it through Google Translate. Okay, so good afternoon everyone. Glad you all could make it and found the location. For a while I thought Pat couldn't even find it.
You did.
I wasn't sure if Anna knew that reference. She does. Now, before I go on to assassinate Patrick's character and give Anna pause for thought, I'm pleased to inform you all. I'm pleased to inform you that they passed the very important Mr. and Mrs. Quiz test, where you independently ask them questions and compare their answers. They matched 85%. There was a slight difference of opinion in a couple of areas. One being just how bridezilla Anna has been. I'm with Anna on that one. And there was a little amnesia on Patrick's part as to the location of their first date.
Said London.
Never mind. Now I've been looking forward to this wedding, and so has Patrick, for a while now. After some relatively short notice of the date and rapid planning at weekends, Patrick remarked just how similar it was to his post-grad accountancy exams and studying. He studied for 3 years, around about the same time as the length of their relationship. He had to study most weekends revising, just like he's been planning this weekend nearly every weekend, this wedding nearly every weekend since they announced it. And just as with his final exams, he can't wait till today is over. He did in fact score top 3 in the world on one of his exams. Well done.
In the world.
True story. He tells me he's good with figures. What do you think, Hannah?
Still your punchline.
So many of you will know Patrick by one of his many nicknames: Patch, Shaun and Patrick, Pato, Chad, Chopper, Chops, Scampy, or his latest one, Patch the Bastard. His quick wit and mischievous dry sense of humour sometimes gets him into trouble. But that's okay when all your mates are 6 foot and above. And how he's changed. Patrick started Boys Langton School many years ago when he was just this high. Sporting an in-fashion centre parting and a black Adidas jacket. A quiet and thoughtful boy showing just glimpses of the future man to come. At one general education lesson, the school had invited a guest speaker. We were a group of 60 students, aged 15 or so, receiving a presentation from a sincere gentleman who'd taken time out to come and explain to us all about the existence of aliens, UFOs, and their frequent visits to planet Earth. Now, I can't recall whether the gentleman had ever met these aliens himself, but we listened politely, as you do. The respectful school kids that we were, and at the end of the fascinating talk, only one of us had a question. Now, you have to remember that we went to a well-disciplined and strict school. Teachers reigned supreme and guests were to be afforded the same respect. Patrick quietly raised his hand to ask both terribly and brilliantly, "Sir, have you ever, in your personal life, experienced periods of extreme stress or mental breakdown?" Silence. Everyone's eyes wide open. The man looked up and answered yes.
Called it.
No further questions. The man was done, and that was the end of that.
Okay.
Throughout school, our group of friends stayed close, where Patch achieved GCSE's A-levels and also bagged a Most Improved award on a school football trip. But if anyone's seen Patrick play football, you know he's not Brazilian. As fate would have it, Patch and I both went to Loughborough Uni studying on overlapping courses. We travelled in Eastern Europe together. We finally lived together last year, but he couldn't commit, meaning marriage was one step too far. Now, Anna needs to thank me for this big day, because without me, Patch wouldn't be sat here. Some of you may know that I've saved his life on more than one occasion. From sleepwalking near Balkis in Magaluf to paddling him home safe on kayaking trips on the River Medway, getting him home safely after many a night out. And you might not know this, but Patch used to have a problem with drink. He simply couldn't handle it. He had a genetically predetermined 5-pint limit, at which point he was sick. This kind of gets in the way of things when you're 18 in Magaluf. It also means from time to time you wake up in the dark on the top deck of a bus, parked overnight in the bus depot.
Anyone can sleep there?
And if you can't find him at the end of the night, just check the bins outside. I think I've got time. Whilst backpacking around Europe, Tom and Patrick were out partying in Rome late one evening. So late, in fact, they missed the last tram home back to the campsite and chose a couple of park benches to spend the night on. The first tram was back to the school, back to the campsite was 5 a.m. So they kind of settled down and went to sleep. Something stirred though, and Tom woke up halfway through the night. Looked over to Patrick's bench. No sign of Patrick, but his shoes were on the floor. Being the good friend that Tom is, he went straight back to sleep. Several hours later, when Patrick finally returned, the full story became clear. He'd woken up in a dreamlike deep sleep state, convinced he was living in a dream. Desperate to evade and escape the security forces who were chasing him, running through the local park to escape, dream logic dictated that he should ditch his clothes as he ran. So he did. Running through the park, his memory of events hazy, but he does recall scrambling up a steep, muddy bank, hiding behind trees from the police that were shooting at him from the bushes. When he finally returned to Tom, covered in mud, wearing just his pants, Tom laughing, he said,
And my socks.
and his socks, he kept his socks on. He returned to Tom and told Tom what would happen. Now, when you thought things couldn't get any worse, Rome is a conservative place. They don't put up with none of this tourist bullshit. It's not the kind of place they let you on a tram half naked and topless. So what was he going to do? No clothes, he's lost his wallet, all the shops are shut. Now there just happened to be a tramp sleeping nearby. And as often tramps do, they're surrounded by their possessions. And on that hot Rome evening, the tramp had taken off some of his clothes and laid them down next to him. Patrick saw his opportunity, and he did what any of us would have done. 5 minutes later, they were on their way home, itching, flea-bitten, and guilty. But those days are long gone, of course. Patrick has grown into a confident, fine young man. I see him progressing in his career after making some big decisions and a lot of hard work. I see him being a source of strength and guidance to his family, who are not all here today, and Anna is wearing his mother's ring. I'm proud to be his friend and witness the man he'll become, and the couple they'll become. May their love burn bright like the Amazon rainforest fires. So everyone would like to raise a toast to this beautiful couple. So the next step.
To the next step! Gotcha. The next step.
10 minutes. Are they on it?
Let's